Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile video, and in this one we're going to talk about how to level the best and most effective way through the entire campaign with a Witch Infernalist minion leveling. So let's talk about it. In the early stage, you'll be in Act 1. That's how it works. You start at 1. In here, you will try to avoid minions at any cost to the best of your extent. It would be fine to use a scepter with, for example, a base level of skeletons to use as meat shields for you if you want to. However, the skill that you want to use is Essence Drain and Contagion. This is going to be the bread and butter for how you're going to operate moving forward throughout the majority of the Act 1, at least the mid-game of Act 1 at least. Then you get your ass to the place called Hunting Grounds. In Hunting Grounds, you'll follow the outskirts of it. You'll find an entrance to the place called Freythorn. This is where you fight King of the Mist. It's the ritual mechanic. In the ritual mechanic, you will then kill the King of the Mist, which drops a skull that gets you a random boost. I think the boost is to give you, I think you get Spirit, Max Spirit. And then when you right-click that skull, your cursor will automatically, you get 30 spirit, chat scaring, thank you. You get 30 spirit, and then once you click that, your cursor will now hold a skill gem, which is an uncut skill gem for spirit skills. When you uncut such a skill gem, you're actually going to be allowing to choose some aura gems or buff gems. Choose the sorcerer on the left-hand side. Now you pick SRS. This is the first time you can start using minions. You will use this in combination with casting Flame Wall. This is how my current build looks at the moment. If I cast Flame Wall, it will automatically summon Radiant Spirits, or also referred to as SRS. So, at this point, we are now in a position where we're able to play with minions. You will focus your support gems on these minions with things like Fire Infusion or Martial Tempo. These early level campaign or early level difficulty support gems, or level 1 support gems rather, to scale the damage approach of the SRS minions whilst you're casting Flame Wall. The rest of your spirit should be used on basically just getting Arsonist. Do not bother using the skill from the Arsonist. You use them specifically for their projectiles. When it comes to the projectiles for the Arsonists, you want to start by getting yourself increased area of effect, but also make sure you have Scatter Shot. When you have those two, that makes the Arsonist shoot multiple projectiles, which will then be placed so that you shoot your Flame Wall in front of them. They will shoot their projectiles through the Flame Wall, have multiple projectiles with increased area effect, and splash on the enemies. Because of the early game, you don't have enough spirit, you'll be focusing your support gems on your SRS. So when you get your first Jeweler Orb to get more links, you put that on the SRS. That is the entire focus of how you level in the early stage. And then as you get up to higher tier content and you get better gear, some of the other content, for example, in Act 1, you get some spirit from the King of the Mist. You get in Act 3 a little bit of spirit, and in Act 6, which currently is Act 3 Cruel, you also get even more spirit, and the rest should come from your gear, for example, from your weapon, from your body armor, or from your base amulet. So when it comes to your body armor, there is the unique called Enfolding. It's kind of a bait to use it. It's good in a very small time frame, but after that, it really isn't that good. So I would recommend trying to stay away from it. It's pretty expensive in the market as well. I used it in my build early, but I had to switch away as soon as I could. And when I did, everything just got so much easier. It also eases up a lot of pressure on your mana when you're playing. So that's kind of how you want to go about it. So skill gems in general, I have a notepad up for the list of this. Essentially, you want to have the whatever minions you get from your skeletal warriors from your scepter should be supported with meat shield. They're only there for your offering skill. You want to run Hellhound with fire exposure, ruthless, maim, splinter, culling strike, kind of in that order. But most importantly, it's just anything that makes the Hellhound provide some debuffs on the enemies is basically what you're looking for. And that is the first Ascendancy you'll be picking up. And then when the remaining links, we have Skeletal Cleric. As soon as you're able to get the Skeletal Cleric, which is from a level 13 uncut skill gem, you want to use that. And when you can put a support gem, you put it in Ingenuity for cooldown reduction. This will help you have a minion that resurrects your dead skeletons. And then you have Skeletal Arsonist. In order of efficiency, Magnify Effect and Scatter Shot are the two important ones. You compensate with Martial Tempo, then Minion Mastery, and then Fire Penetration. You want to run the Flammability Curse with Ritualistic Curse. You don't have to. It's a matter of personal preference. I like it. Summon Raging Spirit should have Feeding Frenzy, Fire Infusion, Immolate when you get access to it, Fire Mastery, and Elemental Focus. And your Pain Offering, which is the offering you have for damage output, you can have Elemental Army as your first support, and then later on when you go Mind Over Matter approach, you want to run Font of Mana, and then Persistence and Ablation. And Flame Wall Fortress is not really needed, but if you're in tight corridors and you in tight hallways and you cast your Flame Wall, you don't always get your entirety of all your minions out, because you might only get a bit of the Flame Wall, as you can see here, only a portion of it got hit, right? So if you have Fortress, that makes you have a higher chance of making sure you get as many of them out as possible. Arcane Tempo for cast speed, Inspiration for the lower mana cost. And that's literally the entire approach of it. So we have two different skill trees. Now that we don't really have a proper planner, so I'll show you the outline of this. These will be linked in the descriptions down below. This is the generic approach of the skill tree you want to run when it comes to the early stages of life-based playing. And my recommendation is that when you start going through these nodes, actually, you know what? I'm going to show you this in-game. When you start playing, you go through the nodes straight up here, and then you take attributes based on what you need to use the support gems and your skill gems. In my case, depending on your gear, of course, I needed a little bit of strength. Then I took some dexterity nodes as I moved to this cluster. Whilst I was speccing this cluster, I turned out that I needed intelligence. So whenever I needed that, I would start my own traveling. So based on this skill tree, as you can see, I'm traveling all the way up here. My recommendation is start doing the travel whenever you need the attributes, then continue the nodes. Once I was done here, I should have picked up the recoup at that point, to be honest. But at that point, then I started getting some of these nodes, and anytime I needed intelligence, as you can see here, I have 2 extra ones because I needed the attributes. Just keep that in mind. And then you basically want to run up here. You don't really have to rush the reservation because it's not super important. And for those of you asking about why I'm not running the automation support with cast on minion death for auto bombing, it's more of a mechanic that is something we can use for non-minion based builds. So it's not really that optimal for minions based, but it was really fun to play. I had a lot of fun with it. You can do that if you want to as well, but you'll need a 3-link SRS for that to work. And yeah, go for it if you want to. It's fun. It didn't really lower your efficiency in general. I do prefer to place my flame walls myself. It was more fun to play that way. And this build is just shitting on everything. It's been absolutely fantastic, especially once you get everything up and running. Because once you get to the point where you have like 4 or 5 arsonists, at that point, I would recommend focusing the jeweler orbs that you get on the arsonist instead of your SRS, and you'll have a blast playing through the campaign. Ascendancy node wise, you start with the Hellhound, then you grab the Altered Flesh. The next nodes you want to pick up is not the Spirit. What I'm doing right now in game, as you can see, I'm in the Ultimatum. I'm in the process of getting my 3rd Ascendancy, which is right after the campaign's done. So what I'm going to do is I will test which one of these 2 is the best, but I'm assuming this one's going to be the case for the Mind Over Matter tree, which is looking like this. I'll show it on screen here. It looks really bad with this layout, but there's going to be a link in the descriptions below for these. And that's the plan right now. I'm going to dive into the end game. I'll post a build guide for this later when I have the end game properly tested, but that is the leveling build I have for you today. And this has been working out extremely well. Bosses just completely melt. It's been a very uncomfortable experience after that little bit of a struggle in the Act 1 to get to this point. That's all I have for you today. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, stay safe and keep rocking.